Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here we have Max on lands versus Robert on Blue-Red Delver. An exploration for Max, allowing him an extra land drop on turn 1 of a Rishadan port that'll be able to go after Robert's mana base, even though he has plenty of basic lands in the Blue-Red build. Delver strategies in the past have actually run 0 basics, but Blue-Red has proven to be able to run islands and mountains, or at least a mountain, in the face of opposing wastelands. Two more lands porting the island, and Amazivith looks to slow things down even more. Wasteland joining Max's mana base. I believe he's running Field of the Dead. Dreadhorde Arcanist coming down here for Robert. And probably a somewhat reasonable card for Robert if he can push through extra damage. It's actually going to Wasteland, respond Crop Rotation, Force of Will pitching Spell Pierce. Got a curbside pickup incoming here. Thanks to Kristen for continuing to support the store in these very unusual times. Dreadhorde Arcanist does give some extra range. Even if that Mazavith was on the board, Robert could continue to go to the face and proving to be a very significant clock here, flashing back those Chain Lightnings while Max doesn't have double red. Crop Rotation. This one resolving. Grabbing Grove, so he now has double red online. Mox Diamond and a Punishing Fire. Buyback and Punishing Fire again. And that is a all in line that leaves Max in pretty reasonable shape. He now has access to Punishing Fire. The ability to recur it with both Groves. I mean, that is eventually a win condition. But Blue-Red Delver, just so dangerous. During the end step, returning Punishing Fire. Karakas continuing to go after the blue mana. It's a question of how is he going to get a creature to stick in the face of recurring Punishing Fires. Bajuka Bog, clearing out Robert's graveyard, making future Dreadhorde Arcanist much less impressive. And a pair of Rishadan Ports. As close as Robert got here, this may be kind of an all-in situation for him very soon. I mean, at any point, Max can draw his combo and wrap this game up. He's at 20 or less life. Max will need to be a little aware of that as far as recurring Punishing Fire. Robert in a very bad spot, as close as he was able to get there. These Rishadan Ports proving to be just so strong. Having played through Mask's block back in the day. Definitely remember what it was like to have to contend with ports. It's a little different when it's ports on both sides of the table. This is very one-sided in terms of attacking the mana base, though Robert does have a Wasteland. He can alleviate some of the pressure temporarily. It looks like he's going to need to, probably bolt Max out of the game. It's going to be a tall order. He could potentially get down a creature. Oh, here's True Name. That's legit. Just like that, he's actually reached the extra mana to resolve the True Name, countering my point entirely. But a lot of zombies could be incoming over the next few turns, but he doesn't have many turns left. It's just 1 point of life. And that is going to do it. So True Name Nemesis actually resolving there. Max able to bottleneck Robert's mana, but not long enough. Eventually he actually resolved a True Name Nemesis, got to 3 mana, got that True Name to stick, and that was a wrap. Any other threat really wouldn't have been a viable option if he were to, say, try and get in the Brazen Borrower. Even if he flashes it in during the end step, fights over it with Force of Wills. If he draws those, obviously, to make that plan work, he'd still likely only be able to get in there for 1 swing, reducing Max down to 1 life. You really needed a True Name or some burn to get out of there. Something like Young Pyromancer, if you had enough mana, also could have potentially been a useful card. Be able to make the Young Pyromancer, make some extra tokens, respond to the Punishing Fires, but again, it's very difficult to actually keep that on board against both of those Grove of the Burnwillows returning Punishing Fires. So let's see what happens here. Game 2. We're resolving mulligans here. Clipped out. And now Max opening up with Grove of the Burnwillows. No acceleration. We'll see what this hand looks like. That's worth keeping for him, perhaps. Punishing Fire, part of the mix there. Very often lands is going to want an Exploration or a Mox Diamond, something to speed up. Ponder for Robert. With that basic island again, Blue-Red Delver really able to utilize those basics so much better than most of the Delver strategies. Just really streamlined. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Perhaps one of his best paths to victory, as it also has a big button. There it is, the 1-3. What a difference a point of toughness makes in the face of Grove of the Burn Willows. And Max's hand may be just hot garbage now if he kept on the strength of Punishing Fire. Dreadhorde and True Name Nemesis both able to get around Punishing Fire in the early stages of the game very well. Of course, later on, you'll be able to use multiple Punishing Fires. Even if he only has one, he'll be able to cast multiple when he has enough mana. Exploration, getting Force of Willed. And now Gamble. Gamble finding a mystery card. And we'll have something discarded at random. Blast Zone flashed in Max's hand. That's an incredibly good printing. That is just part of the mix now. Blast Zone, so good. Perhaps a little inefficient in a way, but the fact that you don't have to cast it is really amazing. Blast Zone goes to the graveyard, and Wasteland takes out that Volcanic Island. Dreadhorde Arcanist is able to flashback Ponder, sees 3 lands. And that is probably exactly where Robert wanted to be. Maybe a Force of Will or something in the mix would have been okay. But at this stage, he's got the cantrips. Just does not want to get locked out of the game as Max continues to build his mana base. You do not want to have your mana base destroyed. Be all in on the creatures that are on board and then lose those creatures. The Max really hasn't shown any element of the combo finish. Thespian Stage plus Dark Depths. How lands is actually going to close the deal more often than not. And now there's a Tabernacle coming down. That's going to tax Robert's mana base. He's going to respond with the Brainstorm, seeing those cards that he'd already seen. Now he's going to need mana both for the Tabernacle and to play out his other spells, and any additional creatures, again, going to need more mana for the Tabernacle, so these basics going to be super welcome. And actually grabbing a Volcanic Island. Dreadhorde's not really great in multiples, given the lack of cards in the graveyard. And Young Pyromancer coming down, allowing for a flashback of Brainstorm. And his whole mana base is going to need to be devoted to keeping these creatures alive. He does have Force of Negation, Surgical Extraction, shows Wasteland, Grove, Blast Zone, and Gamble. Now Gamble may need to get Force of Negation. It'll likely be grabbing a land that could be key to Max winning. If he draws Thespian Stage or Dark Depths, Gamble can find the other piece of the puzzle. There's Blast Zone. Blast Zone will be able to tick up eventually and then clear both of these 2 casting cost creatures, Young Pyromancer and Dreadhorde Arcanist. Surgical clears the Surgical from hand, leaving Max with just a Red Blast and a couple more mana. Boy, I'm not going to lie, Max does not seem like he's in that terrible a shape here. Just the fact that this Blast Zone's about to clear these creatures off the board. It's going to let the tokens go. He's going to pay for one of the tokens. Oh, he's actually letting Dreadhorde go. So Young Pyromancer being cleared. Not bad. That's quite possibly the best line there. Keeping both elemental tokens around. Chipping in for 2 damage. And allowing Young Pyromancer to go. I actually like that line. However, Choke is definitely going to need an answer. Pyroblast, or Red Blast, is going to stop this Force of Negation. And that is likely going to be turning into game 3 real soon. Absolutely brutal. Dark Depths and Thespian Stage mercifully coming rapidly off of the top of the deck after that Choke completely blew out Robert's game plan. Tabernacle requiring all creatures to be have that upkeep cost of 1 mana, and then Choke tapping down permanently his entire mana base meant that not only did he lose all of his creatures, but any future creatures would only be able to stick around for a turn at most, unless he has extra mana lying around. That is absolutely brutal. Basic Mountain ends up being your best friend in those situations, as it actually will untap, as does Wasteland. But at the end of the day, I mean, that is just a potent 1-2 punch. And then, of course, Thespian Sage and Dark Depths quickly mopping things up meant that Robert just didn't have any chance of getting out of that. Yeah, Blue-Red Delver, I suppose, isn't ever completely dead until it's dead. If you do, say, draw your basic mountain or a fetch land to get your basic, you could then start drawing bolts and actually just like luck sack your way out of the game, even over the course of just a few turns. It is one of the things that makes the deck so dangerous, is its resiliency and consistency. And now with the printing of Brazen Borrower, also I think it really changes these type of matchups. So lands and even Sneak and Show variants, being able to just get down a massive threat against them used to be pretty much game over. Like if you jammed a Gristlebrand against Blue-Red Delver in the past, you were fine. Like you got it. They weren't going to be able to handle a 7/7 lifelinker, but now Petty Theft actually is a problem. And same with the Merit Lage token. It used to be if you could stick your 20/20, you were going to be really good game 1. Post board, they might have something like Vapor Snag, but even that, there's not a ton of answers. They can chump block with their flipped Delvers and stuff, but now Petty Theft, the other half of Brazen Borrower, is a real serious game changer. Really strong opening here. We got Mox Diamond and Exploration, so 2 pieces of acceleration for Max. He's got a Grove of the Burn Willows and a Tabernacle in play. Robert's going to need to pay 1 mana each turn to keep this Delver alive. And it looks like he's got a draw consisting mostly of Volcanic Islands so far. This mana base about as vulnerable as it gets to Max's potential plans. He could have a Choke or Wastelands to start to chip this away. And now we got a couple of fetches off the top. That's going to feel much better as far as Robert keeping these guys around. We are in a race situation now. Delver Needs 5 turns to do his work. Each lightning bolt or chain lightning going to decrease that clock by a turn. Max, on the other hand, needs to find Thespian Stage and Dark Depths, and all the while be aware of Wasteland, which is probably the best card versus the combo. And actually, Robert already has a Wasteland in hand. I'm a little surprised it's not already on board. The correct way to sequence things when playing against lands. Drop of Honey. It's rude. That is rude. This is going to clear that Delver of Secrets. He was in such good shape, and now that Drop of Honey completely... Ooh-wee. Brazen Borrower. You sneaky magic card. This can save Robert a turn. I think he's going to do it. I think he's got to bounce that Drop of Honey. Playing Blue-Red Delver, you got to go for the throat. What would you do? Do you bounce this Drop of Honey? Or do you save the Brazen Borrower for later to try and bounce a Merit Lage? I mean, I feel like you've got to go for it here. He can bounce that Drop of Honey. Be swinging for 6 in the air. He only needs 1 more piece of burn. I mean, I think he's actually fine just with that, because he'll lose 1 of his creatures. Drop of Honey. Just Wasteland left untapped. Walking away from Lightning Bolt as a response. Ooh. Very interesting. I don't love that. Wasteland being thrown out. Crop Rotation punishing the line. Things were looking pretty good there. This could get really bad. Oh, it's just grabbing a Misty Rainforest, so it's not too much of a punish. Thanks to Ryan. Just doing a contactless pickup there. Mystery booster boxes. They're available on our website. Super limited supply. I'm not sure if there'll be any left by the airing of this video. We've got a choke coming down, meaning that Delver of Secrets gets cleared. And now Life from the Loam returning a couple of lands, and now this exploration really going to start to pay dividends. Yeah, that Wasteland looking like a really pivotal moment in the game. Surgical hitting Life from the Loam. Sheltered Thicket in response. He's going to be able to return that Life from the Loam to hand. An excellent counter to Surgical. Two more lands entering the battlefield, and at this point, the Land of the Dead could end up becoming an issue. Wasteland. Targeting Flooded Strand. Rishadenport tapping down the island. And a Brainstorm in response. Life from the Loam returning. Thespian Stage. Thicket and Wasteland, so he's going to have an extra card draw off of this. He can get the Life from the Loam back if he wants. Max absolutely in the driver's seat here. And looking like he's going to be taking this match. Wasteland this time. Robert, will he fetch and brainstorm. No, he'll just lightning bolt, grabbing a volcanic island and lightning bolting Max down to 6. And it is inevitable at this point. Life from the Loam now recurring lands from the graveyard while simultaneously fueling the graveyard each time it dredges. And this is exactly how you draw it up as a lands player. Your opponent done playing Magic. You are just walking away with this one. Gamble and some minimal resistance put up here. Dazes unlocking a couple of Robert's lands. He'll be able to replay them. He won't actually counter anything that Max is trying to do. Life from the Loam goes to the graveyard. Blast Zone in another wasteland. And I believe we're in turns here. This is one of the longer fast effects, which I guess can happen with lands. It's not one of the faster decks. Though it can just turn to you. But very often the games do turn into this type of absolute disaster for the other player where they just have almost no hope of winning. Right now, Robert locked out under choke. And Life from the Loam continues to mill. Not sure if that's a Miri's Guile or a Sylvan Library that's allowing that extra look. I think it's a Sylvan, if I had to bet. Well, there's Tormod's Crypt. That might be able to... Nope. I mean, it's very difficult to play out of that. Even with the Tormod's Crypt, he's got the Sheltered Thicket to be able to return the Life from the Loam to hand and get the ball rolling again. So, yeah, it's really tough. Max grinding it out versus Blue-Red Delver in a match that ends up going to turns in one of our longest fast effects ever. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.